they call that? Native American Day, I think. And they created the dream catchers and the ring sticks that we're going to be using later. And thanks to the parents and the kids for creating their costumes. They had all liberties to create them. You'll see lots of different variations. They did a great job, I have to say. And I want to thank the second grade teachers for giving me the time to work with your students, because, you know, without all of us working together, it just wouldn't happen. And I'm really thankful that I have such wonderful second grade teachers to work with. So without further ado, we'd like to present our flautist, who's coming out on stage, and we'll get started.
We are the Pueblo Idiots. I am Chief Payfano.
Oh, give me a home in the southwest I roam. Pueblo people build homes way up high. By the great Rio Grande, they irrigated the land, and the sun blazed so bright in the sky. Oh, give me a home in the southwest I roam. Pueblo people build homes way up high. By the great Rio Grande, they irrigated the land, and the sun blazed so bright in the sky.
Our winter is fast approaching. Do we have enough food to last through the winter for all our Pueblo people? We have dried sheep and vegetables from our harvest.
We have repairs to make on some of our homes. We need to collect sand and small rocks for this. Let us get the construction workers to complete this before the seventh moon rises.
The women have made enough cloth for blankets, and we have enough skin for coats for cold harsh nights. Some of our women are grinding corn in the courtyard.
Let us listen.
to learn this stuff? Why do we have to wear this stuff?
Because we're studying Native American culture.
The teacher said our ancestors used to do these things.
Like smush corn into a powder and make bread?
Yeah, and hunt animals by running around after them. I don't know how they were able to catch anything or have any food to eat. Animals are way faster than people.
Why do we need to know what our ancestors used to do?
Because it is important to know where it came from and so I can learn from past mistakes. It is interesting to know how sharp the hunters were so they could outsmart the animals. I don't think I could do it.
Me either. I'm glad we don't need to hunt.
Whew.
You know the Pueblos lived in adobe apartment homes. Made a play, they planned to stay in Southwest USA. Hey, hey, did you know the Pueblos lived in adobe apartment homes? Made a play, they planned to stay in Southwest USA. Hey, hey.
The food is a very old tradition that we experience centuries in the world. Each tribe has their own style of food and their own story about where the food came from. For every tribe, every story I've heard, the beginnings of the flute have something to do with love. This story talks about a young man who was out hunting one day and he spotted some elk tracks and started following it, but this elk just kept far enough away from him where he couldn't catch him. And pretty soon he was in a place he wasn't familiar with and he couldn't find the elk and it was evening. So he just settled down for the evening. We heard all the noises, the sounds of the night, the crickets and the owls. That was our lifestyle in the old days. But as he was settling down, he suddenly heard a really strange sound. It was a different sound than he'd heard before. At first it was kind of spooky to him, but yet it was a nice sound. It was a peaceful sound. Before he knew it, he'd fallen asleep. Well, in his sleep, he had a dream, and in the dream, the red-headed woodpecker, Wakmuka, came to him and said, follow me, follow me. When he woke up, he saw Wakmuka, the red-headed woodpecker, sitting on a branch, and he would fly from tree to tree, always staying not very far ahead of the young man, kind of looking over his shoulder, so the young man followed him. Pretty soon, the woodpecker landed on a hollow, dead branch on a tree, and as the wind blew, it would blow through this branch, and that made the sound that you heard the night before. The young man said, sorry, brother, let me take this branch. You can always find another one. So he took the branch home with him. He tried to make the sound. He blew on it, he waved it around in the air. Never would make the same sound that he heard. He decided he'd find out how to do that. So he prepared himself, and he went out by himself and prayed and fasted and stayed there for 4 days. After the 4th day, he had a dream or a vision. And in that dream, the woodpecker came to him again and took the form of a man and said, watch what I do, watch what I do. And he made a flute. And the young man then awoke, he went home, and he made a flute just like that one that he was showing in the vision. And made a beautiful sound. It was a sound like no one had ever heard before. And the young man thought, this is awfully nice. And he also thought, there's a young lady in this village. She happened to be the daughter of an important chieftain, but she was very proud. She was very beautiful, but also she didn't listen to any of those who came to court her. The young man made up a certain song, and when she heard the song, her feet just started moving. She couldn't help it, her feet started moving. Pretty soon she found herself out by the young man and said, please, tell your father to come and talk to my father. Let's get married. And they did. Of course, when all the other young men in the village saw how this worked, they all started making flutes too. And that's how the flute started.
Our tribe is Lakota. My name is Chief Sitting Bull.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam. You will find the Lakota right there. Past the Mississippi, people built high teepees. The Great Plains were
Our winter is coming. It looks to be a very bad winter. We may have to move around a lot if winter is harsh.
We have hunted much and not much food. Chief Samuel has led our hunters out into the plains to hunt fresh for food.
We have dry buffalo meat and dry buffalo skins that'll last through the winter.
The horses we now have make hunting much easier. Herding buffalo into deep pits is really hard. Even though we are great warriors and won the battle of Little Bighorn, our bows and arrows are no match for the guns of these settlers.
Why are these settlers taking our land? It's not fair.
Let us communicate without drums.
Native Americans enjoy TV for fun. Here is an example.
There was a child lived on the plains. Lakota was their name. L-A-K, O-T-A, L-A-K, O-T-A, L-A-K, O-T-A. Lakota lived in teepees. There was a tribe lived on the plains. Lakota was their name. L-A-K, O-T-A, L-A-K, O-T-A, L-A-K, O-T-A. Lakota lived in teepees.
I am Chief Powhatan. This is the Powhatan tribe.
Oh, give me a land where the woodlands are good, and Virginia the Powhatan live. Near the James River they fish and farm all the day, and in long houses us to they give. Oh, out in the woods, where the deer have its salt place. Oh, Virginia is rare, Powhatan ruled with care, and his people worked hard every day. Get that large tree, we need firewood. The women are making bread and the hunters are bringing home meat. And don't forget the fish. And we will need the bark for repairing our log houses. Yes, we will. Winter is here. And since the European settlers came, many of our people are sick and dying. We must act quickly to make sure all remain well. Let us communicate with our drums. Present day, riding in the woods, riding in the forests of Virginia.
Pretend like you see us riding in a truck.
I love riding in your truck, Grandfather.
I do too, young one.
The woods are very beautiful this time of year.
These were the home of our Powhatan ancestors.
Did they have trucks too?
No, young one, trucks had not been invented during this time. Our ancestors walked these lands and paddled canoes on the river.
Where did they get canoes, Grandfather?
They made them from trees in the forest.
How did they turn a tree into a canoe?
They were called dugout canoes because they would dig out one side by chopping and burning the wood.
That sounds like hard work.
It was, young one. Our people worked very hard to survive.
I'm glad we have your truck, Grandfather.
Me too.
Powhatan lived in our land, Virginia. Powhatan lived in our land, Virginia. Long houses were their plan, living in the eastwood lands. Powhatan lived in our land, Virginia. Powhatan lived in our land, Virginia. Long houses were their plan, living in the eastwood lands.
This song is about a little bear who misbehaved and had to sleep outside of his den. At night he was too cold and during the day he was too hot. This song has been passed from generation to generation in oral tradition.
The Great One.
We'd like to thank you for coming today to see our presentation of Native American culture, and we hope you learned a little something from our presentation. I know your students did, and they did a fairly nice job. Let's give them another hand. We are going to let these performers exit in the same manner they entered. So we're going to play the Native American music again. They will exit the same way they entered. Take pictures, wave, give hugs, whatever you need to do. And if you guys would wait until they've